Something has changed in the pulse of this offense, and the excitement building in Los Angeles can no longer be dismissed as ordinary August noise. Bolt fam, get ready. A running back is starting to answer exactly where last season hurt. A defensive giant could land on Joe Ortiz's radar. A rookie is testing Joe Alt without taking a single rep lightly. And Justin Herbert looks to be moving faster than even Mike McDaniel expected. Today feels like payback for everything that held this roster down. Subscribe and ride this shift with us. 4 different signals are pointing the same way. The Chargers are ready to erupt now. Omarion Hampton does not deserve the blame for what happened in 2025, but he now carries a massive opportunity to turn that frustration into an answer. He was brought in to give the running game its power and heartbeat back. Then Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt went down. The interior line could not hold the plan together, and Greg Roman's structure slowly ran out of oxygen. Hampton dealt with his own physical setbacks too. Across 9 games, he finished with 545 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on 124 carries. We caught flashes when he returned late in the season and shared the field with Akheem Mesidor. Even then, it felt like the explosion was still trapped behind a locked door. Mike McDaniel may have found the key. The new offensive coordinator identified Hampton as the player who has shown the most growth in training camp. And that observation matters because it reaches beyond conditioning or enthusiasm. This is about adaptation. An outside zone running game asks a back to see the field differently, recognize whether the edge is sealed, feel the linebackers flowing, choose the right cut, then attack before the defense closes the window. One hesitant step kills the play. One decisive cut turns an ordinary run into 20 yards and sends the entire secondary scrambling. That is where Hampton can punish everyone who judged him by the incomplete numbers from his rookie year. He has the speed, burst, balance, and receiving ability. The functional comparison to Devon Achane helps us picture what McDaniel's system could unlock, even though Hampton has his own build and his own way of wearing down a defense. The exciting part is not trying to copy Miami. It is giving a first-round talent space, clear decisions, and a quarterback who can torch any safety that creeps downhill too soon. You can feel this fan base breathing differently because, for far too long, the Chargers' running game felt like an obligation they had to satisfy before Herbert threw the next pass. If Hampton threatens the perimeter and Vidal or Keaton Mitchell keeps the rotation alive, opposing defenses cannot charge straight at the quarterback. Play action becomes real. The angles change. Throwing windows open sooner. Herbert gets cleaner seconds in the pocket without needing every blocker to be perfect on every down. Hampton still has to prove it Sunday after Sunday, and above all else, stay healthy. Training camp provides the signal. The season demands the proof. That is exactly the kind of progress that separates vague hope from something real being built. Against Arizona in Week 1, Los Angeles can immediately show that the running back we only saw in pieces last year has become a central piece of a more ruthless offense. If this growth continues, nobody will ask why the Chargers spent a first-round pick on him. They will ask how the AFC ever let McDaniel get his hands on a weapon like this. A more dangerous offense does not erase the responsibility to make this defense heavier. There is an opportunity floating around the market that feels designed to test Joe Ortiz's nerve. Vita Vea, the wall at the center of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense since entering the league as a first-round pick in 2018, is heading into the final year of his contract. Extension talks have stalled, a trade request has surfaced, and his reported preference for the West Coast pulls this story closer to Los Angeles. Wanting the player and completing the trade are 2 different fights. Tampa has to accept the return, while the Chargers must evaluate the contract, his age, and the draft capital involved. Still, refusing to call would be a mistake. Seattle has room. San Francisco has resources and ambition. The Rams, Raiders, and Cardinals are less natural fits. The Chargers bring something different: contender expectations, financial flexibility, and an interior rotation with room for another defensive tackle. But Bolt fam, here is where the story gets interesting. The AFC West is leaning harder into the running game, and Vea would not be another famous name slapped onto the depth chart. He changes the geometry of a defense. A man who can absorb double teams frees the linebackers, creates cleaner matchups for the edge rushers, and keeps Chris O'Leary from having to invent fronts every time an injury hits. Derwin James would remain the extraordinary chess piece moving all over the board, but he would not have to erase as many problems before the football even reaches the second level. This is where it gets emotional for me. The Chargers have spent years with enough talent to compete, yet they have not always chosen the right moment to strike. Ortiz does not live on blockbuster trades, and that restraint can be a strength. Discipline protects the future, but it cannot become fear when the circumstances line up. Vea wants a new situation. The West Coast appeals to him. Tampa has contract tension, and Los Angeles faces a tougher slate of offenses. Sometimes aggression is not a luxury. It is what keeps a good defense from cracking in January. I would investigate every angle, ask the price, study an extension, and draw firm boundaries. If Tampa demands outrageous capital, Hordes walks. If the range is responsible, he moves. Protecting Herbert also means building a defense that returns the football without demanding 40 points from the offense. McDaniel once felt like a distant dream. Maybe the next offseason jolt waits on the other side of the line. While the market presents a massive possibility, a rookie inside Chargers camp is earning respect the hardest way possible, going at one of the best players on the roster. Akheem Mesidor, Los Angeles' first-round pick in 2026, arrived with the job of helping replace the production lost when Odafe Oweh signed with Washington. The Chargers' pass rush finished 10th in sacks last season. Holding that level, then pushing beyond it, requires the rookie to offer far more than first-round pedigree. Joe Alt described exactly the behavior you want to hear about. According to the tackle, there has not been one day when Mesidor looked like he took a play off or backed away from the effort. Every snap he is trying to improve, and that forces everybody around him to answer. It does not guarantee sacks in September, but it reveals a drive that an NFL locker room recognizes quickly. When your first-round rookie tests Alt instead of searching for a comfortable rep, the offensive line gets better, and the defense learns how much of his college talent already survives at pro speed. There is pressure attached to this, and nobody should hide it. Oweh left on a massive contract, and established production never disappears without leaving a demand behind. Mesidor is 25, enters the league more mature than many rookies, and will be watched as both an immediate answer and a long-term piece. The Chargers do not need him to imitate anybody. They need his energy, technique, and power to create new problems within O'Leary's defense. The ripple effect fires me up most. A relentless rookie prevents veterans from cruising through camp. He forces Alt to sharpen his hands, makes the other pass rushers raise their pace, and gives the coordinator new combinations. That is how a pick earns trust before recording an official statistic. He raises the room standard. When the season opens against Arizona, the scoreboard will demand more than August praise. Until then, every battle with Alt carries a warning. Mesidor did not arrive asking everyone to wait. He came to take space. After talking about space for Hampton, weight in the middle of the defense, and the rookie's hunger, we reach the signal that can pull everything together. Justin Herbert is not learning Mike McDaniel's offense. He is pushing the staff to teach it faster. McDaniel told Dan Graziano that the quarterback has exceeded his expectations, arrived motivated, stayed locked in, and shown a willingness to experiment with concepts. McDaniel is speeding up Herbert's decisions. Herbert has spent years creating after plays stretched out, escaping pressure, and finding solutions few quarterbacks can see. This plan tries to win sooner. Release the ball early, throw with anticipation, define the read, and neutralize the rush. That does not shrink Herbert's talent. It removes needless punishment and saves his improvisation for the moments when the defense beats the design. His 2025 numbers make this personal. Even behind an injury-ravaged line, Herbert threw for 3,727 yards and 26 touchdowns while rushing for 498. McDaniel sees a 6'6" quarterback with rare arm talent, full field vision, and the work ethic to carry his message. When the best player works like that, accountability no longer comes only from the whiteboard. McDaniel also praised how Hampton, Vidal, and Keaton Mitchell complement one another, plus their attention to footwork and running tracks. That closes the circle. Herbert can release the ball early because the run is dangerous. Hampton finds wider cuts because Herbert punishes a loaded box. The offense forces the defense to reveal its weakness, then attacks. Bolt thermometer. Hold on to one word that captures what Herbert and McDaniel bring out of you. I do not want a rating or a choice between two options. I want the most honest reaction you have when you picture this system with healthy protection and a real running game. My word is freedom. We have watched Herbert produce while the plan collapsed around him. Now we may finally watch him play with the plan working in his favor. The demand comes next. Turn all that intelligence into execution under pressure. AFC defenses will disguise coverages and fight to slow every read. But if McDaniel is already challenging the staff to keep pace with Herbert, we are not watching a quarterback survive an installation. We are watching someone prepare to command it. Connected to Hampton's growth and Mesidor's potential impact, that command reveals a team finally trying to rise to the level of its quarterback. Today's emotion does not come from one isolated headline. It comes from the pieces beginning to speak to each other. Hampton learning to attack space, a rare chance to harden the defense, Mesidor raising the level of every rep, and Herbert accelerating a system designed to protect him. AFC respect will not arrive during training camp. The Chargers will have to rip it away when the games get heavy. Still, this path feels more coherent, more aggressive, and more alive. Subscribe, hit like, and follow our temperature all season. Bolt fam, I need your opinion on this one. What one word defines this Chargers team's ceiling if everything comes together?